Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today's deck profile for you, we're going over Magnamon X. We're finally to that point. We're going over some BT16 decks, and of course we've got to start with the elephant in the room, the big daddy of them all, Magnamon X. We're going to be covering the three main decks this week. So first we're starting with Magnamon X, then going to Rapidmon X, and then we'll go into Vaccine Armor to cap the week off. So make sure you stay tuned for that because you're going to want to know how to play these decks, or at least how to play against them if you don't want to jump on the hype train. Also, if you guys could jump over to my Twitch page and give me a quick follow, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm just trying to get to that 50 followers, and then I can start, getting into the monetization over there as well. I've been doing a lot of Diablo 2 Resurrected runs, as well as having a blast doing Borderlands 2 runs, and yeah, so if you enjoy that kind of content, go check it out. A couple other people have already jumped over there, and they've just really enjoyed it. It's a whole different side of me just having fun playing these games, so maybe you'll enjoy it, but I would just appreciate the follow nonetheless. All right, so as always, I have the whole deck pulled up for you guys so you can follow along with us and kind of see what we're working with. Down here at the bottom, of course, we have our talking points and like alternate choices that you could run in the deck as I bash my knee into my desk. So yeah, like Jesmon GX in here, things like that, which we'll cover when we get there. All right, so we'll start off with our baby here in Wanyamon. The baby is kind of a big debate, right? What do you run here? I like the consistency that you get with Wanyamon when attacking. If you have a blue tamer, you draw a card. So that's pretty nice because you always want to get a Davis out there as soon as possible. Now, that might not be how you want to go about it. This Digimon, the new one out of BT16, while this Digimon has 2 or more colors, it gets plus 1k all turns. So that all turns is kind of nice because like in the mirror match, things like that, having that DP boost could be a pretty important factor in the deck. So again, keep that in mind because that could be relevant. Granted, most of the time, this Magnamon right here is going to be putting in a lot of your DP legwork for the deck. But this one isn't a popular choice as well. And then there's always the classic Bukamon here, just giving you that jamming. Yes, we have Armor Purge, but sometimes you want to swing with your level 4s and you want them to survive, so then you can proceed by evoing into your level 6 here, because he's going to Digivolve and then unsuspend himself. So that's going to feel really good. And then you could swing with him again, and then a card gets removed from security, so he'll unsuspend again. So 2 unsuspends in a turn. You can get really crazy with it and swing with this Vmon, the jamming Vmon, check 1, evo into this Magnamon, unsuspend, swing, survive, and just keep on going and going and going. So yeah, you get a ton of checks in. So yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff that you can do. And again, the Bukamon can also enable the jamming as well with the rookie potentially. So I'm not too worried about the DP. Like I said, I really like the consistency with the Wanyamon, but I definitely understand people want to flexing this one out. So just really personal preference on this. For our rookie lineup, I think these first 3 are pretty much like mandatory includes in the deck. I think the only flex spot is really this last 2 right here. So first up, we've got the BT12 one. This is the on play. You can add a free type, which is going to be all your stuff except for your OG Magnamon X Antibody, and then whatever level 7 you choose to run. So that's the only thing he's not going to hit off his search. He also hits the Davis, which we really like. The end of turn DNA is irrelevant because we're not running any DNA targets. We're also running the starter deck 9 OG Vmon here because he's doing basically the same thing, except we don't get to add the Davis. So it's a Reveal 3, add a free type. So really solid. Out of all the searchers in the game, these are going to be your best bets because they can add the free type, which includes all of your level 4 armors as well as your Magnamon X, the new one from BT16, because he is treated as a free type. So you want those consistency cards for sure. And these are going to be your best searchers. You can't use the one that adds a 2-color blue Digimon anymore because your new Magnamon X is a 3-color. So you would miss on that search. So that's why we threw it back to the starter deck 9 searcher. And then we've got 4 of the movie promo Vmon here, because he makes your Evo costs 1 less, which is really good. And when attacking, if it has 2 or more colors, 2 or more specifically, so if you have your 3, you're still good, he gets you draw as well. So again, consistency values. And then I went with the jamming Vmon. I'm still a big fan of this one. I feel like we're going to move into a format where you really want that early chip damage. If you can like see one of these Vmons early game and just get a quick swing out of it and get it to live, you're going to feel really good about it. So I'm really in favor of this one. I've seen some people running the new BT16 Vmon. My issue though is your turn once per turn when one of your other Digimon is played or Digivolved. If that Digimon is green or has the free trait gain 1 memory. So I'm just not a huge fan of that. It's like I have to Digivolve one of my other Vmon to get the value out of that memory. So which means I would have to have either 2 Vmons on field, this one and another one, or I'd be, of course, evoing one of my level 4s up higher into like a level 6. But that's just not how I really want to approach it. I want to be able to evo directly on top of this guy and get the value there. And he doesn't provide that. He does give a nice your turn plus 2k DP buff, though, which again, in the mirror match, could be a factor for you. So that's really the only like flexible spot. I think the next bit of stuff here is super obvious, so I will explain it, but there's really no flexibility here. I've seen a few people drop, like, I think the Royal Knights Magnamon down to 3 potentially, but I like the 444. I mean, just keep it consistent. The majority of topping lists that you'll see are going to be a 444. So we've got the new security one. I love this one. This one has been putting in a ton of work for me. Just so good. So security de-Digivolve 1 at the end of battle. One of your Digimon may Digivolve into this card without paying the Digivolution cost. When Digivolving, trash the top Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon for each of that Digimon's colors. So if they're a 2 color, you can do 2, or if they're 3 color Magnamon X, you can trash 3, which is really nice. Then return one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards to the hand. Now keep in mind, again, I use Magnamon X as an example, but if it's immune to effects, then you of course you can't target it, because I know someone in the comments will say something if I don't clarify. But yeah, this is just really cool, especially in something like dealing with like blast evo targets and things like that. And keep in mind the de-Digivolve, it's just one Digimon. You could de-Digivolve one of your own Magnamons down to a Vmon and then immediately Digivolve on top of that Vmon and then get its when Digivolving effect, which is really good good stuff here. So I really like that little bit of synergy that you can do. If you so choose. But yeah, he's just so powerful. That when Digivolving effect is really nice, and the fact that you could do it right out of security is really nice. So I'm a big fan. We do have, of course, the BT13 Magnamon, the Royal Knights one. He's got blocker. He does not have armor purge though, which is really frustrating. Thankfully, he is still in armor form, so we will still get our synergies there. And then all turns when this Digimon would leave the battle area, it's not just deleted, which is nice. Just when it would leave the battle area, you can draw one, then play a Vmon from your hand or from his sources without paying the cost. So that's really cool that you can get that value there. So he does have his uses, I would say. I really miss the armor form, or sorry, the armor purge specifically. But it's not that bad. Then we have our OG BT8 Magnamon. Got the Armor Purge blocker. When Digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon, and it gets plus 2k until the end of the turn, till the end of the opponent's turn, for each armor form you have in your trash. Again, keep in mind what is armor form, what isn't armor form. Your Magnamon X's are not armor form, so it's only going to be counting up your level 4s here for that DP boost, which is still going to be really solid. Again, another reason that I like the 444 split, to increase the amount of boost that we're going to be able to get out of our BT8 Magnamon. For our level 6s here, right out the gate, we've got the new Magnamon X. This thing is incredible. Evos on top of any of your Magnamons for 5 Evo cost. You could use the option then, of course, to make this a 3 Evo cost, which is really nice as well. Blocker, Armor Purge, when Digivolving, if Magnamon X Antibody or a card with Armor Form trait is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's effects and gets plus 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn, then unsuspend this Digimon. It's kind of interesting because you could actually Evo this guy on top of your old Magnamon X and still get that qualification there. So Magnamon X on top of a Magnamon X, like you don't see that in any other type of X antibody. So it's really kind of interesting that they let you do it here. But yeah, 2-color Magnamon in name for 5 Evo cost. Now, level 6 on top of level 6 for 5 memory is still a lot, but hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And then all turns, once per turn, when a card is removed from a security stack, you may activate one of this Digimon's when Digivolving effects. And because all of that when Digivolving effect is under a single bracketed when Digivolving effects, you get all 3 of those. So you get the unsuspended, you get the unaffected, and you get the DP boost all at once when a single card is removed from security. All turns, your turn, your opponent's turn, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's security. So if you swing in, check your opponent's security, boom, the effect turns on. If you activate a little techie option like Blinding Ray to trash one of your own during your own turn, you can activate it before you ever even swing. That's really powerful. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Being unaffected, though, by all your opponent's effects is just an absolute insane ability. It's not just options. It's not just tamers. It's not just Digimon. It's anything of your opponent's just unaffected is... this card's going to be a menace. I mean, that's how we're covering this deck first, is because this card is going to be a menace, and it's going to be super good. I'm low-key very excited to play it, but also... it's going to be a problem in the meta. So just be aware of this. Now, since you guys are here watching this, I do want to give you a little bit of an insight, just something I've been thinking of how to deal with this. But the when Digivolving is if it has Magnamon X or an Armor Form trait in the sources. If you do something that source strips that target out, so usually it's going to be a level 4. Rarely will you have a Magnamon X underneath this guy. But if you source strip out that Armor Form, he won't get his when Digivolving effects constantly anymore. So, very good idea to, if you can run some sort of source strip, be able to pull out the level 4s. It's going to be a good time for you. Now, we are running still 2 of the old Magnamon X's. I think this still has value here. Just depending on the matchups, this is just a good defensive tech for you. Just depending on what the matchups is, right? If you're running against something like an Ukamon Rush deck and they just go super wide on you, like a single block from your new Magnamon X is just not going to get the job done, right? Even if they check another security afterward and it unsuspends itself and you get a second block, that still might not be enough. So the OG Magnamon X is that opponent's turn when an opponent's Digimon attacks. If a card with Armor Form trait or X Antibody is in this Digimon's evolution cards, you may switch the target to this Digimon. So you can just infinitely do that during your opponent's turn. Just redirect, 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 redirect. Doesn't matter how many times, right? As long as they can't clear the body here. That's really powerful, depending on the matchup, like I said. D-Brigade, something like that. This will be a great card to slam down against those decks. And then all turns, when this would be deleted, you may place the top card of this Digimon on top of your security stack face down to prevent that deletion. So basically like an Armor Purge, but like a super Armor Purge, because then you get to put it in security instead of it going to trash. Now again, it is only when this Digimon would be deleted. So a bit of a bummer. Now, if they do like a DP minus on him, you could throw him into security, right? The DP minus will still go through and kill the stack underneath, but you still get an extra security. So a little cheeky play that you can do there. Again, only deletion. So bounce to hand, all those like classic like ways to get around armor purge, like those still exist here. But he at least can do a little bit of extra work on a few interactions. So yeah, I like including him. Now here's another good flex spot. I went with Omnimon here from BT5. This is just your standard Blitz Omnimon, Blitz Omni for game, that sort of thing. I found it really difficult to set up the big play, right, with the Jesmon GX here. I know this is really popular. You can get in a really good like sucker punch, but it doesn't always close out the game if you're passing turn, right? So you're getting Evo for, what is it, 5 on top of a Magnamon X here, which is probably going to pass turn. Now, granted, when Digivolving, you may place one card with the Royal Knight traits and a play cost of 13 or less from your hand or trash under this Digimon as its bottom distribution card. Activate one of that Digimon's when Digivolving effects and this Digimon of this Digimon, then Blitz, right? So a really popular play is to say you go with a Magnamon from BT8, you unsuspend, and then he proceeds to Blitz, right? Really powerful there. And then all turns, while a card with Royal Knights in its trait is in this Digimon's distribution cards, this Digimon gains Piercing, Blocker, and Security Attack +1 for each such card. So for every Royal Knights, you'll have your Magnamon, whichever Magnamon you're going with here. Your Magnamon X here is a Royal Knight. Both of them are, right? Yeah, both of them are. So you'll have the original level 4 that your Magnamon X evoed on, and then you're going to slide in a new Magnamon with the GX, giving you 3 sources with Royal Knights. So that's 4 security checks with your Blitz and Piercing. It's a powerful play. Don't get me wrong. It's a powerful play. It's just not that game-ending play that I would necessarily prefer. One popular play is also combining it with X Antibody, because you can attack and then Evo mid-attack into your GX here. Because he is an X Antibody type here. So mid-attack, Evo into Jesmon GX, slide in that same Magnamon from BT8 we talked about. So he's going to unsuspend. All 4 of those checks are going to go through, and then you can swing again for game. My issue is, of course, it's a big, fat 5 Evo cost, which is not going to be super doable, depending on your build, right? So some other cards that I have in here, which we'll talk about when we get to the options, but I'm running Mental Training, which reduces Evo cost. You can't use that with X Antibody mid-attack, right? But if you use something like a Blue Memory Boost instead of the training option, then you can pop this to gain memory, and you could pop multiples of these to enable that big Super Jesmon GX play for you. So if you're going to go the GX route, I recommend running the Blue Memory Boost over the Mental Trainings. You could also supplement in Hammer Sparks instead if you so choose, which will kind of do a pseudo version of that, right? You could just like hard play, multiple Hammer Sparks from hand and still get that same kind of value. So yeah, this is a big package to run to kind of have to get this, right? And you have to have all these things in play. You've got to have your X Antibody option in hand. You got to have your Jesmon GX. You really need the memory to get the best value out of this play. Sure, you could just do the play, pass turn, and then win on the following turn, hopefully. Whereas I like the Blitz Omnimon because it's just like I can just slam that thing down whenever the situation arises for me to be in a good position to, go ahead and take the game. So I don't mind it so much. I think it's a lot less setup, and it's just boom, get the job done, move on with the game, right? Whereas this, if GX is your play, that's almost like your win con for the deck, right? Instead of doing everything else the deck is doing, you're just trying to get into Jesmon GX and do the play as quickly as possible. And Omnimon is just a single card in this whole deck of already doing what it likes to do. So just my 2 cents on the 2 different versions. Both have their merits. I'm just a simple creature with my Blitz Omnimon, I guess. For our Davis, we are running the movie promo one. It's got that on play. You can play a VMon from your hand without paying the cost. So 3 play costs, 3 play costs, it just works out. So basically you get a free VMon, and then start of your turn, you always get a 1 memory if you have a free type. So just a little bit of an extra memory gain for you every single turn. Not too bad. And again, it's a Davis, so we can add it off of some of our searches and stuff like that. We can hard play it. We get VMon searches as well. Like if you're planning on playing a searcher VMon and you have this Davis, just play this Davis first because you were going to play the VMon anyways. So now you just have free memory for the rest of the game. Literally, get it? Free memory. All right, this is a new one. I don't think I included this in my last deck profile, but I think we did talk about it. Shu Yu Lin is a memory setter for us, and it can mind link to anything with the X antibody trait. Obvious what we're doing here, we're sliding her underneath your Magnamon X's. Why? Because she gives Alliance and Reboot. Because our guys are blockers, right? We're just doing our blocker thing. Being able to swing and then reboot during our opponent's turn to have our blocker ready, that feels good. But also enabling Alliance, so we can, play out that Searcher VMon, get our search off, and then swing with our Magnamon X, Alliance, get 2 security checks at, what are we at, 15k here, plus 1 to 2, so 16 to 17k. With Alliance for multiple security checks. That's just really good. And the reboot, just great synergy. You could run the old Davis instead, the on-play, reveal 3, add 1 blue, 1 green. We don't have any green in this deck, so the value feels not quite as good there. Still a solid choice, though. Again, a consistency card. I just feel like she's going to bring more to the table than that old Davis can. So, with that Alliance and reboot that she has. All right, getting into our option cards here. Again, like I said, I went with the mental trainings here just because it's I don't know, it feels more straightforward. I can just pop this Evo into our level 4s just really efficiently. I don't have to worry about memory blockers because I expect we'll probably see some memory blockers potentially coming into like rogue decks that can get away with it, which is going to stop the GX play, right? Whereas this, there's not really... no one's going to be running reduced Evo cost reduction. I don't feel like. I could be wrong, but yeah. So reveal 2, and then add whatever you need. You could add mental training off of mental training, right? You can grab any of your Digimon except for your Omnimon. Just feels really good. If you're running any of these alternative options here, you can grab those as well. Just a nice flexible card. Doesn't dig too deep. Nothing like that. Next, we've got the Awakening of the Golden Knight. This card didn't feel as important in previous iterations of the deck. Pre-BT16, this was like, okay, I saved myself, 1 memory on my Magnamon X, and then I can't have my DP reduced until the end of my opponent's turn, right? It had a little bit of fringe play here and there. Wasn't overly necessary. Now, though, moving forward, this is a 2 cost reduction on our Magnamon X's, our new ones. Instead of 5, it's now a 3, and giving us that DP protection is actually really relevant because of our next card, which I'm going to move over here right quick to talk about it. Heaven's Judgment. This card's getting used everywhere. It's either in Magnamon X, it's in Rapidmon, it's in Vaccine Angels or Vaccine Armor. Like, this is like the new hotness removal card, right, that everybody is running. Minus 6,000 DP instantly, and then a minus another 6,000 DP for every color you have in play. So with Magnamon X, that's going to be a minus 24k or 4 different minus 6s. It's so powerful. So being able to have DP reduction prevention on your Magnamon X, super clutch to have. So we went ahead and bumped this up to 3 because I feel like the value for it's going to be a lot more important moving ahead now than it ever was before. Again, multiple reasons. 1, we're now saving 2 memory instead of just 1, so value there feels better. Again, you have a memory setter and you play this, now you're at 0. You went into your new Magnamon X, like that feels good. You're avoiding the Heaven's Judgment right now, that feels good. Or just having the protection from it. So yeah, I still have 2 Fire Rockets in here. I could say this could be a flex spot for you if you don't want to run it. You don't have to, but one of your Digimon with 2 or more colors gains security attack +1. While you have a Digimon with Armor Form trait, you can use this without meeting the color requirements, because I still somehow get that question even to this day. If you have an Armor Form, you can use this without meeting the color requirements. So, but yeah. Security attack +1, really nice. Even if you armor purge away, you still get that second check on your rookie, which is really great if it's the jamming VMon underneath. But even if not, you still get that second check in if you hit into like, a Death X or something like that in security that's just absolutely massive. You're still going to be absolutely fine. So yeah, I like this. I think having the aggro is going to be really useful. it's just kind of, I think the more and more we play like these mirror matches and against these other, decks that are going to be super control heavy that are really difficult to answer, like Rapidmon or Vaccine Armors, we'll see where the Fire Rocket falls on how important it is. I'll also say its security effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with blocker, is going to be really good in the mirror match because all of the level 4s have blocker. So yes, they will armor purge, but the fact that you just get a pop one for free just right there off of a one cost option is really nice. So I still like it. I still think it deserves to be in the deck. But if you want to cut it, I could also see why you would want to cut it. Blinding Ray, I feel like, is a tech card that everyone should be running. If you're playing this deck, if you're playing Magnamon X Antibody, you really need the Blinding Ray. Trash the top card of your security stack, then gain 2 memory. It's almost like the gain 2 memory is completely irrelevant. This is a 0 cost option that trashes one of your own security during your own turn, enabling your Wind Digivolving on your Magnamon X. You instantly get all of that value there, the 3K, the unsuspend, the unaffected by your opponent's effects ability. So good. So yeah, I think this is going to be really great. A must include. So I'm running it as 2 of. I've seen some people running it as a 1 of. I really dislike running 1 ofs, especially like a tech like this, which like you're going to be getting into your Magnamon X like as soon as possible, right? You really want to just turbo into it ASAP. And so you'll pretty much have it in play from like turn 2 on, pretty much. So having multiple Blinding Rays in the deck just in itself is going to be good. One, you want to see one as soon as possible. And then second, like seeing a second one, also not that bad. So yeah, unfortunately, no security effect. Always bug me about this card. At least let me add it to hand, if it gets hit in security. But even still, strong card, must have in this deck. I wouldn't run it as a 1 of. I would always run it as a 2 of. I run the Omnimon as a 1 of because, again, it's not the win con of the deck. If I was running GX, I'd probably want to run 2 GXs, right? But with the Omnimon, I can get away with 1 ofs like that. Not too worried about that one. And that kind of really completes the deck here. So again, we've got these 6 cards down here that are just like flex spots. You could flex in an Ice Wall if you so choose, if you want to fiddle with some numbers. Again, if you want to drop like your level 4s down, one of them down to a 3 of, you could throw in an Ice Wall as well. If you want to incorporate the GX, like the ratios get really funky at that point. Like you probably drop the Fire Rockets. Let's see. Of course, you drop the Omnimon. That gives you 3 spots, and then probably a level 4 as well. So that gives you 4. So then you could at least run 2 GXs and 2 X Antibodies because you really want to do that combo play. Again, I wouldn't run like a 2-in-1 or a 1-in-1 because it just doesn't feel quite as impactful. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents there for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions or just added information that you want to add that I might have missed, please put it in the comment section. I'll reply to you guys as soon as I can. Again, also, if you're still here somehow, some way, and you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Also, jump over to my Twitch page, give it a quick follow as well. Get me up to that 50, and then I'll stop bugging you guys for follows on Twitch. We're just 11 off.